Some of those who do have a home, it is quite a mess. Now, some of the upperclassmen actually wanted to move into these brand new apartments at Prairie View, but take a look. When they arrived today, they tell us that their moving date was delayed several times. This is what they found. There's still dirt, construction equipment everywhere. Take a look at this. There's actually paint still being mixed and put on the walls. We talked with some parents who are here to move their students in. They say these are supposed to be furnished apartments, but some of the furniture wasn't here. It wasn't put together. Some of the parents have been putting the beds together. They've been putting couches together, and there's a lot of construction trash everywhere that hasn't been cleaned up. You can see a lot of the work not complete yet here. This has been really frustrating for parents and students. Some of them say they actually had to pay even more money when they arrived today, when they thought they were coming to a brand new, ready, furnished apartment.
It's just hectic, asking people if they can put my bed in, asking if I have a desk, asking if, like where's my couch at, can they help me set it up because I'm here by myself, and, just trying to get some help.
Live pictures here. We've also been told some of the units don't have air conditioning yet. Now, the university has told us this is not under their jurisdiction. It's off-campus housing. They say they are trying to assist the students. I want to show you some of this construction trash you can see at the end of the hallway here. We have talked with management. They say they are apologizing to the students and the families. They are doing their best to remedy it, but we are still working to get more information about the plan, as there are some other units that are not finished at all, and the students are not being allowed to move into.
The 52-minute video shows a Texas state trooper pulling Sandra Bland over and then arresting her.
He was charged with assaulting a public service officer.
City Council. If you guys can, please show up next Monday for City Council. Panther Hill residents are going to try to show up and give their complaints, but if they can't show up, I would want the Panther Party members to step in and just say some of the stories that you've heard from Panther Hill. As many citizen comments we can get, and if you want to, go ahead and direct them at the mayor, because we already sent open letters requests. We know who the culprit is. We know who the culprit is, so the fire.
Hidden on the outskirts of Houston is Prairie View A&M University, one of the oldest higher learning institutes in Texas, a historically black university with a thriving community and ever-increasing enrollment. This university has been a home for many black activists throughout its 176-year existence. No other group exemplifies this long-held mindset like Prairie View's own the Panther Party.
The Panther Party came about after the Sandra Bland incident happened in 2015, and it was Josh and Urban who created the organization. I think it was somebody else, but the organization's original name wasn't the Panther Party, but the organization was to basically look at the issues that are within Waller County, like the police department, the criminal justice system, and also it expanded into issues that students were dealing with on a daily basis. So it's basically like an advocacy political organization that basically expanded into something bigger than what it is now.
In 2015, of course, Sandra Bland happened. From that event, there was a group meet that was started. The actual name of the group meet was called Join the Movement, and we started a quasi-organization called Join the Movement Student Alliance. A lot of different students, a lot of different student organizations, really just going for justice.
They had a march to change the street name, so I was immediately in the mix. And one thing that brought me into was a group message called Join the Movement. I mentioned that because months later, another gentleman would, or more people actually, it's 2015, so that's like a heat of Black Lives Matter. People were dying at the hands of police officers, and basically people were freaking out, and we're like, what are we even gonna do? Like, what's the solution here?
From there, we began to look at the situation and the circumstance that caused Sandra Bland, and realized it was much bigger than Sandra Bland. It was a whole 140 plus year history when it came to Waller counties dealing with Prairie View, all the way back when it used to be a slave plantation. And we decided, myself and the co-founder of Panther Party, the official organization corporation, Irvin Bryant, we decided that it needs to be something much more bigger than just a GroupMe or a student alliance, but something actually more formal.
We decided to meet, join the movement, and from that one meeting, it kind of snowballed into having a few meetings here and there, but it never solidified. So Joshua Muhammad called us into a official meeting to say who's gonna actually show up and be a part of a regular meeting group so we can actually get something done, because it was just way too disorganized. The Sandra Bland efforts weren't getting any results. We met, and it was just two people, Joshua Muhammad and myself. And from there, we got the name. We gave them our idea for our first marketing campaign, Make PV Great Again. And from there, we developed a structure and kept it moving. That was in January 2016.
And the ideology was that when you look at Black people, we're Democrats by default. Some of us are Republicans, but generally we don't rock with Republicans. But we really don't have our own clear agenda. We just know that, stop killing us and give us a job. But if I ask you what's the Black agenda, a lot of people can't really tell me. So we decided in constant Prairie View, especially an all-Black town, majority Black town like Prairie View, we didn't have a quasi-political party that speaks to our specific agenda. And thus was born officially in 2017, but it was actually before that when we were organizing. Thus was born the Panther Party.
They're involved in every type of political event that's on campus. They always make sure that they're known towards what's going on currently. So just like how we have a voter registration problem, they're very heavily involved on it. They're sitting aside with Mr. Jackson, with Ignite, and we're trying to make sure we tackle as many students as we possibly can to get them to vote.
The party has a wide range of things that it can get into as far as activism on campus, branching out and reaching not just Waller County or Prairie View A&M, but further and beyond. And I think that people who join the Panther Party can find something that not every organization offers, and it's intelligent conversation. It's a focus on the Black agenda. It's a focus on the student agenda, as well as keeping it at the forefront of SGA's mind, as well as an overall love for the students and the campus life and things like that. But yeah, it's just being aware and being Black and being as educated as possible so that you don't fall into the traps that most people do when it comes to, rooting for yourself and rooting for people who are all of Black descent.
Shouldn't be able to move that.
Say you have a guest here and you lock it from the outside, they'll be locked in until you get back.
Manny Pacquiao uses this to warm up with.
How? Jorai? It fell on my head when I first moved in.
Okay, because it comes straight out.
For the first time, freshman housing was not enough to hold the growing population of students. Freshmen who are oftentimes required to live on campus were forced to invade upperclassmen housing, leaving upperclassmen with even fewer housing options both on and off campus, thus creating a situation where there were seemingly more students than the university could house, leading to the proposed creation of Panther Hill.
And we're isolated. So Prairie View's far from Houston, far enough from Cypress, And so development's not just happening left and right. Some people actually like are without a place to stay. Some people like end up not continuing their enrollment and they just like stay at the crib. I used to work in housing and I got many a sad story from a parent. It's like, I used to go to PV, it's not supposed to be like this, and I didn't have any rooms to give them, right? That snowballs into a greater issue where our mayor goes around campus marketing this great savior to the solution. He gave speeches at City Hall saying that he recognized the problem, that some of the solutions were poor housing. That's true. I used to live in a place that's pretty bad. I didn't like it. I moved out. They didn't treat the residents as they should be treated. And so there's Panther Hill now, a new development, a rush development. But yeah, so what happens when you have so many people, and then by the way, the universities, without increasing their investments, or without the system increasing their investments in building housing, we have increased our enrollment standards, right? So we have to enroll more people, but we have not been appropriated the amount of money to build more houses.
Housing falls into really a city issue, is that we have an underdeveloped city. However, the main engine of Prairie View is, of course, Prairie View University. And us being under the A&M system, under certain guidelines from Texas, that we are mandated or policy to increase enrollment. And so with the increase in enrollment, by the same time, an underdeveloped city, to where if I had a school in Houston, if I'm at U of H or TSU, and somebody told me that I need to increase enrollment, y'all may have actual on-campus at housing at TSU or U of H, but I have a whole city around me. So the problem isn't that large per se. But in Prairie View, I have a city that's underdeveloped, not a lot of housing out here. I have a university that is steadily increasing enrollment, accepting more freshmen, and so there you have a problem in the class.
It's very disrespectful to come onto Prairie View A&M University's campus, talk to students about housing, and blow it out of proportion, make students believe in something that's not really thought through properly. You should really think about what you're doing to the students and think about how much money they're spending just to be here. And if you calculate all that together, you're disrespecting them, you're disrespecting their parents, and you really have no respect for the university, in my opinion.
With no other housing options available, and it being so close to the start of the fall semester, they reluctantly moved in.
So I can only go off of what I've seen on social media, and I have a personal friend who is also a Panther Hill resident, and what I've seen on social media is really ridiculous. I've seen people's roofs falling down, their shower heads are faced the wrong way. And personally, my friend was dealing with her housing, the way they have housing set up. There's a 2-bedroom and a 4-bedroom, and she's in a 2-bedroom. Her rooms are smaller than the 4-bedroom, which doesn't make sense. So the floor pans are all messed up. It's a lot going on. People are getting holes in their tires from the construction going around. One girl on social media said that the people working on the buildings were stealing out of their cars. I don't know the validity of these statements, but I'm going off of what I've been seeing on social media, what I've been hearing word from mouth. But it's all a mess, and something needs to be done.
The thing is different sizes of the rooms. You have one room that is the size of another room times 3. So you have room C that's probably about this big, but then you have room A that's about this big. Another situation was one of my friends didn't have a drain in his shower. Another young lady had some type of septic coming out of her shower. And I believe the biggest issue is the lack of consideration for the students and also the dragging of the feet. When I went out there, some of the maintenance men were playing with fishing poles when students had complaints.
Right now, the city doesn't have an attorney because he resigned. So right now, we're getting an interim attorney. But the thing is, and this is kind of,
I don't like him.
Who?
I'm from Dallas, Texas. That's 3 hours away. My original move-in date was August 16, 2018. They emailed me maybe a day or 2 before then saying that I wasn't able to move in. So I had to stay with one of my friends, and she lived pretty deep in Cypress. It's about 30 minutes from school. So I had to move all of my apartment stuff to her apartment and let it sit. I was sleeping on an air mattress in her apartment, commuting to school for a couple of days until me and my roommate had to pay out of pocket for a hotel for 2 weeks, which turned out to be $400. On top of commuting back and forth to school with gas, I'm not employed. I do not have a job. I did not have my refund. So at the time, it was really hard for me to buy my books as well. So it was a lot of stress because that's pretty much like an hour every day. 30 minutes there, 30 minutes back. So I finally moved in September 6th, and I didn't get an email about moving in. I just assumed word of mouth through other tenants to move in. The day I moved in, the apartment was really dirty.
We don't have Wi-Fi or reliable Wi-Fi, so it's really hard to keep up with assignment deadlines like for school and stuff. Electricity goes out sometimes.
My shower is faced the opposite way, so every time I take a shower, water like floods my bathroom floor. Also, the weather strip on the bottom of our front door, there's like a gap between the door and the weather strip, so bugs are constantly coming in. We don't have a peephole in our door. Our lock's locked from the inside, so it's difficult getting in and out. And we don't have any of our amenities. We don't have Wi-Fi, cable, our pool, fitness center, the clubhouse, the parking lot is still dirt, so some people have like nails in their tires.
Or the water leaks, so I'm always having to wash my bath mats. It sprays on the wall, so that lets like mildew grow on it. And then those are probably the everyday issues, but every week I would say something new breaks in my house.
I've been having problems with miscommunication, and as far as going towards my room problems, I have a leak in my bathroom that occurs almost every week, like once or twice every week, coming from my ceiling. I've reported it 5 times. I saw a roll of nails from a nail gun sitting on top of somebody's window. It's still there to this day. And it's like a whole week later today. So that's kind of a hazard. And I actually went in there and I told them that. So I'm waiting for them to come pick that up. I don't know when they're gonna do that.
Everywhere, the floor was dirty. My bedroom light did not work. My roommate's toilet did not work. It was not connected or hooked up, so she had to use my bathroom. Outside of that, it wasn't too many problems. Parking was terrible. There was hardly anywhere to park. A lot of people were getting nails in their tires, and the apartments was not compensating them for getting new tires. A lot of the construction workers took up a lot of parking for students and tenants as well. Trash overflowed throughout the whole apartment complex weekly. It was filled up. People started just putting trash in their hallways. And CAs, we didn't know we had CAs. CAs were threatened to fine the whole building $150 each because they had nowhere to put their trash. So that was my first week and a half living at Panther Hill. And then further on, I ran into more issues with feces and sewage water coming up my shower drain.
I actually didn't end up moving in until August 30th, I think. So I moved in after classes had already started. So.
Did they accommodate you at all for not moving in on your lease date?
Not to my knowledge. I haven't really seen any accommodations. So.
Other people, as well as trying to work with us to keep us informed, but Panther Hill in itself has not been keeping its tenants informed. So it's just really like, it's kind of scary because it's like, you know, as the semester progresses, it's like a living nightmare. I can't get out of this lease because they don't want to give me my money back. They don't want to break the lease in order for me to go live somewhere else on campus, hypothetically next semester, or somewhere else off campus. So it's like a living nightmare for us. And a lot of people still haven't paid their rent. And I paid mine, so I mean, that's really all I have to say.
It would have been a great experience to live with them as they built. Well, not as they built, but after they built, after construction was completely done, and got a full experience of a better housing, because it was supposed to be a nice complex. It's nice. It's a nice setup, but the construction is not great as to how it should be set up. Everything is not together correctly. Stuff is over here and over there. It's not organized. People have different size appliances. Room sizes are completely off scale. Floor plans weren't actually what we received. It was completely different from the images they have online. And to change amenities after you had already assigned them is completely wrong.
in my opinion, it's not a livable size. It's very small. It's hard to believe that they want us to pay the same amount of money to live here that we live in the phases when we don't have half the amenities that the phases gives us.
For a 1-bedroom, it's anywhere from $850 to $800, I believe. For a 2-bedroom, it's anywhere between $750 to $700 because I pay $700 a month. And I think the 4-bedroom is like $600 to $650. And anything in between, there's probably like prices in between, but I think the lowest is $600 and the highest is probably $850 to $900.
Some of the things I would like to see change at Panther Hill is that I'm hoping that we get all of our amenities soon and that they reimbursed us for our problems that we had to deal with while living there. I hope they change my shower, our front door, and management. I think we need new management.
On September 20th, Beto comes to fulfill his promise to come to Prairie View, but before he arrives, City Hall has a mandatory meeting with Panther Hill residents.
Making sure everything is efficient, that we stay on time. You know, if you have something to say, raise your hand. He's going to call upon you. That way we can be organized, and that way we get everybody to have a chance to express their thoughts. So please be cognizant of the time frame because we're trying to end this at 4:45. Because a text message was sent out saying that me, Councilman Randall, Councilman Jones, and Councilman Rowland was trying to stop and take away Panther Hill sent by Mayor Allen. So I'm here to tell y'all that that's not what's trying to happen. We've been trying to rectify the situation. So this is why we ask y'all to come to the city council meetings, because we've been to city council meetings. You'll see at the end of every meeting, we ask to have a discussion on the Panther Hill for the next agenda. For months, it was never put on, and the mayor sets the agenda. Also, a couple weeks ago, we asked to have an emergency meeting. And the law says to have an emergency meeting has to deal with public safety and health. So you see all the things that we talked about having to do with public safety and health. Well, the emergency meeting was canceled because Mayor Allen and our attorney said that we didn't have grounds to hold an emergency meeting.
My name is Exante Wallace. I'm a city councilman for the city of Prairie View, and I'm a graduate student here at Prairie View A&M University. I think the biggest challenge is trying to serve the greater good. A lot of times, you could try to focus on specific pieces of the population, but when you think of you represent a whole city now, it's not like you just represent your family or you represent one subdivision. So really thinking outside the box and being creative and being willing to listen to all the criticism, but also collaborating with everybody possible to try to move the city forward. So right now, the resident to housing ratio is a little bit off, so as we have a growing population, of course we need more housing to accommodate it. So right now we've had a couple new developments within the city, a couple apartment complexes, but the issues with some of the apartment complexes, like specifically like Panther Hill, is I've been on campus. I was here when the square was made, and there wasn't too many issues. Of course, you had a couple of AC issues, maybe water on, water off issues, but nothing major. Right now at Panther Hills, a lot of students were pushed into the Panther Hills because they didn't have nowhere to live. So yes, the Panther Hills was a great development in terms of students need places to live, but at the same time, it felt a little predatory in the sense that it was stated that the housing complex wasn't done until 2019. And the thing was that it was pushed by the mayor, by the developers, saying, okay, students, come move in, we get new. So a lot of them, signed at least before they even had a chance to really live in there. So it was like they're kind of like guinea pigs. If everything went great, then great. If not, then obviously there's issues. And the thing was, there are a lot of major issues when it comes to mold, when it comes to flooding, plumbing, all those different things. And so as a student, I've talked to multiple students about it, and a lot of them actually written to me said that if they had to start all over again, they would have rather just move to Cypress or move somewhere else or try to find another off campus, because not only was it, saying that, this is the only place, that to live, but also the aesthetics was a point that students wanted to go to, but whenever it came down to actually living there, half of the amenities that were promised to them, if you pay the money as a resident, wasn't there. So I feel like there needs to be if we're gonna allow these developers to come in and allow students to live in these housing complexes, there should be a standard that they should be held to as well.
Seen it or anything like that. He barely wanted to give me a prorate. And still, they threatened to evict me if I didn't pay my rent that day.
It said cable TV. They lied and switched it and said it's always said cable connections. At first it didn't say that. Communication with management was horrible. We applied, didn't get a response for our application until a month later. Didn't get our leases till a month after that.
My desk didn't fit in my room. And so when I come to find out that me and my roommate are paying the exact same, the $29.50, and just where she puts her desk alone is the size of my entire room.
They're like, well, I'm like, so how's that gonna work? We start school on August 27th, and I know nobody in Panther Hill. I'm not staying with no stranger. I watch too many movies. So I'm like, okay, so like, how's it gonna work? And the man said, his name started with A, he specifically said, stay with somebody in the phase, they don't do room checks.
The spots, I get to work and I don't have a parking spot as well. We're parked in front of the leasing office any kind of way. So it's not just you guys who are going through this. The leasing office, you may not have been in there lately, but they're doing the upgrades. But we are working, we're working in it as well. So it's not something that makes it easy. Sometimes our Wi-Fi doesn't work. So when you're calling, you asking a question, we can't provide that to you if our Wi-Fi is down.
The mayor of Prairie View promised students a solution to their housing crisis, but instead they were given more problems and even more dangerous living situations. While Panther Hill was finally being addressed, voting season began to pick up.
We're having a voter registration drive for freshmen here in the UC. As you can hear, there's music playing, it's bumping, we got free pizza, and we're trying to get somewhere between 100 plus freshmen registered to vote. Traditional housing in Prairie View. The main problem is that the city of Prairie View is not very developed. You got a Dollar General, 2 gas stations, and that's about it. And then you have the university, highly underdeveloped. So when you have somewhere around up to 10,000 students here going to school in an underdeveloped city, then you have an issue with housing. So like in Texas A&M and College Station is a whole city. Texas A&M doesn't have enough housing for all the students, but it has a city that can take in the students in their housing. In most places, capitalism takes over. So when there's not enough housing, then somebody with capital will build housing for those said students to therefore meet that need. But in Prairie View, when you have broke people or people without enough capital to invest in land and to build housing, then therefore you have a housing crisis, a housing shortage. Also, the state of Texas dictates how much housing a college can have on its grounds. The state dictates your enrollment. And enrollment standards have increased substantially every year for HBCUs. So Prairie View had its highest freshman class this year, but so did Grambling, Southern, Howard, Morehouse, Spelman, and Houston-Tillotson. They've all had the biggest freshman classes because someone is telling them you got to add more students to keep your funding. So because our retention rates are so low. So when you continue to bring in freshmen, continue to bring in students, you don't have enough housing, you don't have enough money to build housing, you have a housing crisis like we've never seen before, and you get ripe ground for someone to take advantage of students in housing, i.e. Panther Hill.
It's not a unique problem for universities as a whole, but like with the system not recognizing Prairie View's unique situation where there like literally isn't a place for you to go, right? Like in Galveston, they don't have that problem. In Corpus Christi, in College Station, like those are more developed cities. Our city is just woefully underdeveloped.
Just finished my first term as first mayor for 2 years and just entering the second term. What I'd like to say is everything this young lady and others have experienced, I totally agree should happen. But I'm gonna take it one step further. We've got, and Councilman Jones, I want to thank you. Just today, because I'd heard about it last week, but I haven't gotten over there, Councilman Jones sent me some pictures on another facility that make, unfortunately, what you are going through, ma'am, look very good. We've got problems in the city of Prairie View, and they are not limited to Panther Hill Apartments.
Should the mayor be held accountable? Yes, accountable and responsible. As a public servant, just generally speaking, or at the head of anything, if I'm a head coach of a football team, I might have people that's doing something, on my team that, this person missed a block, this person dropped a pass. But the person who's ultimately held responsible at the end of the day and accountable is the coach. So the mayor being the head person in Prairie View, a lot of just general accountability falls on the shoulders, just generally. However, even more in depth, through Mayor Allen's re-election campaign, Panther Hill was one of his biggest promises that, we're gonna fix his housing and other things. And he was a strong advocate of pushing it through even ahead of timeline.
I remember City Council last semester. I lost, me and another student split the vote. But as I was campaigning, I was telling people not to move into Panther Hill, because I thought I wouldn't be finished in time. So I'm an engineer for the Army. The U.S. Army couldn't build a housing facility as fast as Panther Hill got built. And we build nations. And there's no way we could build a housing facility that fast. Because if you do that, you have the issue, you have mold, because it's not built correctly. But the mayor kept saying it was going to be finished. It was going to be finished. And we do something fishy with it. And if you, as a mayor, if you're running your campaign promising something and then telling students, don't worry about signing up for housing here on campus because you'll have housing off campus, then you must be held accountable. We had to hold people accountable because his integrity is out the window. Who can I believe when you are the one telling me this and you're lying to my face? He went to a church, and Darren White said, he's a resident of Panther Hill, he said he came to his church and he said, people talking bad about Panther Hill, but I know the devil is a lie, it'll be ready in time for August. To me, that's a major indictment that you believe and invested in Panther Hill, and you convinced students to put their money there, so you should be held accountable.
Those of us who were out here with Exante Wallace, who was running, and and Dr. Brian Rowland, we knew as well. Unfortunately, you cannot save the multitude. We only have two shoulders in which we can allow other people to stand on, and in which we can stand on their shoulders. So absolutely, he should be held accountable. He's not concerned. He goes home every night to a house that has probably little to no problems. But that's where student leadership steps in. We are concerned about the other students, and so we have to show that in our actions as well.
When you have a position of authority, obviously there's a lot of responsibility that comes with that. And so when you have the confidence, when you win the confidence of the community, and then you do something just so irresponsible as this, you are responsible. And so it was built far too fast, with the amount of rooms that were needed, or that were built, and the amount of time that they needed is literally quadruple the amount. They took the summer, so 4 months to build upwards of 300 rooms. And what was supposed to be a top-notch facility with all these amenities, pool, wet Wi-Fi, all these things. And almost none of it was delivered on. Not on time. It is an active construction site to this day, right? And the mayor is the main proponent selling it. Literally, he hired the students that sold it. He made that a key campaign talking point for himself, to say, I'm bringing the solution to your to your housing woes. None of that's true. Just straight lies. So, one, when you lie, and two, when you lie as a government official, it's just you are responsible. It's a problem. And so, not gonna elect him again.
I believe the way that we can go about fixing this issue is using our power as students. We're the biggest cohort in Waller County. Because it is a student resident place, we need to really push students who don't even live at Panther Hill to demand that these contractors, that the private company, that anybody involved with Panther Hill and what's going on needs to be held accountable, first and foremost. And then using our political power to say, okay, if this isn't fixed, you're not getting into your office. We're going to sue you, and whatever other means and measures need to be taken in order to get the answers that we need.
There's obvious issues with it. I mean, there's no reason why feces should be coming up people's, shower. Like that's unacceptable, right? There's no reason why students should be posting all these things on social media if it was just regular minute issues. So in a couple of years, I feel like City Council hopefully does we do our due diligence and putting the mayor accountable for telling them to go back and correct some of these issues if there is foundational issues after the inspections are done. Because since it is a private development, if everything passes, the inspection and everything, then we have to leave it up to the manager to keep them accountable. But if it's foundation issues, something that we could have controlled through our inspectors, then it's on us.
So first of all, we have to bridge the gap between the community and the university. Prairie View is home to a little over 5,000 citizens, but we have 4,300 beds on this campus, which give or take, that's how many students that we have actually staying here, and then we have the community students that live out there. So we have to bridge that gap first, and once we bridge that gap, it allows for both sides of the playing field to connect a lot easier. Essentially, we can't rely on just Exante or Kendrick to help us out. So students have to be just as involved in getting things to change as they are complaining about things.
Ultimately, the university is working with Panther Hill to fix the problem. So plumbing issues, electrical issues, water drainage issues, things like that. They are being repaired because there is activism, and so activism is the main key to all that. People just taking their own time and their own efforts to make sure these things get solved.
I believe when there's a problem, there's an opportunity. I would really like to see us as students, black people in Prairie View, come together and be the ones through entrepreneurial steps to start our own housing. Right now, if you look around, you have a few of that. You have a situation like Panther Hill, which are really outside people coming in to build. But I think with us, we have to more so regulate the housing that's coming into Prairie View, working with the university to build more housing, but also how entrepreneurs think is that there's a problem, then there's a way with that problem I can get the right resources to make that problem into a business. So whether we're talking about private investors that I hope to be black coming in and building houses for black people or students, or students find a way to come together, to rent out a house to students or whatever have you. I think through our collective will, we can solve that issue in very creative ways.
As of now, many of the issues with Panther Hill have been fixed, but students are still without Wi-Fi, cable, and other promised services. This is not just a problem at Prairie View, but at many other HBCUs because of increased enrollment and poorly placed locations.